You can no longer ignore your guidance system. For when you feel negative emotion, you know too much. You know what negative emotion means. When you're feeling negative emotion, it means that in that very moment, in that red hot moment, you are disallowing yourself from becoming who you truly are. This thought that you're thinking, this bogus thought, especially when it isn't, when it does feel like negative emotion, it's a bogus thought. And when you offer that thought, you are blocking yourself from your ability to perceive the frequency, to realize what's on the frequency of your desires. Negative emotion truly is the best thing in the entire world, for there's no better guidance than having negative emotion. You are source energy. Did you know that you are an extension of source energy? All the entire group of source, all of source, the entire stream of consciousness that is called source energy is extended through your physical senses. Source is enjoying this physical time and place through you. You are the extension. And yet while you are this extension, this sophisticated physical leading edge creator extension, you are still source energy. And there's no moment better to know that you are source energy than when you are in negative emotion. For when you feel negative emotion, you are feeling the absence of source. When you feel bad, think about how good source must feel. Think about how enthusiastic and how ready source feels for you to manifest everything that you want. You are over here depressed, and the more depressed you are, the happier source is. If only source would lower its frequency. You know what your emotions are about. You have 2 point of attractions. Source energy is always trying to tell you one thing. We have a point of attraction too. You have a point of attraction, and your source has a point of attraction. And law of attraction is responding to both of these point of attractions and gathering cooperative components to each cooperative component to every point of attraction. Your inner being has no resistance. Your inner being, the second that you wanted something, your inner being already became the vibrational equivalent of it. Your source energy does not get phased by contrast. It doesn't get phased by the lack of dollars in your bank account. Your source will forever, for all of eternity, become the holder, the vibrational equivalent, being the signal to you. It will know so clearly of your desire that if you were to follow along with your source, if you were to look for your source in every moment, then you would naturally be led to that manifestation, the full fruition of all of your desires. You have all of eternity to work it out. It's really when you start to meditate and you start to detach and you start to find this place of non-resistance, whether it is through these type of videos, whether it is through us, or whether it is through other type of activities. While you do these things and know that you are in a place of non-resistance, now when you step back into your moments, now when you step back into your day, you're more aware of your guidance system. Your guidance system is kicked into high gear. You can no longer feel negative emotion and truly not know what it means. It means that you're what? Disallowing yourself. You are not allowing yourself to become who you want to be and who you truly are, who you have already become. The second that you wanted that money, because here you are, you don't have money, but and as a result of that, source has become more richness for you, more abundance. And so you also have to become that abundance if you truly want to be happy in that life. This guidance system is so sophisticated. This guidance system is literally what you came into this earthly experience, this physical time experience with. You came here with a guidance system, even that you had even before you were in this body. You understood at a very, very fundamental level, rudimentary level, that you would have a guidance system, and all you would have to do, exactly the way that if you, for example, were right where you stand right now and want to go to Walmart, you would know exactly how to go there. Walmart is a shopping store here in North America. So if you wanted to go there, all you would have to do is open up your guidance. Because thing is, if you want to go to Walmart, you don't feel attention, you don't feel negative emotion about going to Walmart. You know that if I want to go to Walmart, I can go to Walmart. And do you ever find yourself worried about how you're going to get there? Because even if you are worried, you have these contraptions called cellular devices. You can open your phone, you can open up a map, a GPS app. And your GPS apps are so sophisticated. Your GPS app will ask you, where do you want to go? And it says, well, where are you? And you write your address. So from where your most recent moment, your most recent address, where you are right now, it will calculate the distance between where you are and the Walmart that you want to go to. And it will consider all the factors like traffic, like the roads, avoiding tolls. It will consider every possible variable. And then there it will give you the best path to get to where you want to go, that's along the path of least resistance. In one is considering all of the facets. The path of least resistance, the quickest way to get you there, that's also safe, that's also easy, and Do you understand how amazing these algorithms are? It's the same thing with law of attraction. You have this guidance system where it knows where you are right now, and where you are keeps changing. So source is shifting with you. Source is shifting because source can move fast. So from wherever you are right now, your guidance system is equipped to take you all the way to your richness, all the way to your book writing success, all the way to your literary empires, all the way to your music careers, all the way to your more money and more romances. Anything that you want, you can use your guidance system to go there. And it's truly, this guidance system truly is what is so worth talking about, because this guidance system is the leading edge, and the leading edge part of about all this stuff. You have guidance. When you feel negative emotion, that's your source telling you this thought's bogus. This thought is bogus. And so what are the bogus thoughts? You have a habit of looking at reality. You have a habit of saying, I know I want this, but it hasn't happened in so long. Do you know that your very acknowledgement, your very acknowledgement that it isn't here is a reason why it's not here? We'll say that again. The very fact that you know that it's not here, the fact that you observe that it's not here right now, and that it should be here, but it's not here, that's the reason why you don't have it. That's the reason why you don't have it. So what are we supposed to do then? What are we supposed to do if we can't help but observe reality? What are we supposed to do in that case? Are we supposed to just not observe reality? And we get it. You are a physical creature. You did come into this physical time and place. You are a master at translating vibration. But reality is not as real as you think. This is not the true reality. You will get so tired of negative emotion that you just will have to mind the gap. You will have to close the gap. But the gap is so much more easily closed than you even would think. There's physics at work here. There's momentum. And truly, you have habits of thought. If you ask yourself how you think about a subject, how you feel about it, before you try to cover it up, how you truly feel about it, whether it's angst, whether it's fear, whether it's sadness, whether it's disappointment, that's the reason why it's working out like that. For you can look at your experience and know exactly what vibration you have about that experience, and the vibration that you have about that experience. Have you ever met people who have what you want, and when you ask them about in the having of that, they're so chill about it, they're so relaxed, and you're saying, well, but how come it's not like that for me? Because for me, I salivate over. For me, it's something that I really want, but for them it's something that's so easy, so second nature. We're saying is because the thought that's dominant in on that subject, every time that subject comes up, the dominant thought, their belief, is one of harmony with source and of their desire. So they can't help but get what they want. Everything can change really fast. You just have to change your dominant thought. For what happens is you do the process. You think a thought, you find a new piece of clarity, and then you say, where's my stuff? And we're saying, well, in that acknowledgement, in that statement, in that declaration of saying, where's all my stuff, you lose your connection. Now you practice not being able to see your desire even more. That's very wonky. Reality is real. The thing is, we can't help you get around that. Reality is very real. The way that we explain it is that reality just doesn't mean anything. The reality that you have lived, all the moments leading up to this one truly mean, it's not that they mean nothing, it's that you don't have to look back. They don't mean anything. They don't say anything about you as a creator. Ultimately, the ultimate explanation of your past experiences is it was for the betterment of your vortex. It's for what you came here for. It taught you more as a creator. Ultimately, though, the true reason is you had resistance. You were a sloppy thinker. You didn't know you were thinking about that subject in that way until it manifested. But now that you understand negative emotion, you're just putting out all the fires as soon as they go out. You're not waiting until they burn your entire house down. You catch them early. For negative emotion is your guidance system. And this is truly the part that it won't blow your mind, but it is the piece that everyone's looking for. We say the feeling truly is a secret. And it's not the secret in the sense where it magically makes everything happen. It's just the easiest way and the most path of least resistant way for you to get to where you want to go is to talk about why you want it. And in talking about why you want it, you negate, you take away from the pinch that the feeling of the absence gives you. And it is slow and going, because naturally on whatever subject it is, especially when it's a subject that you want, you can ask, why do I want it? And you can get into that place of the vortex. But ultimately, you have a dominant thought on that subject, especially when it's a subject that you really want, that goes like this. Where is it? I haven't had it in so long. This is my law of average. This is my success rate. And I've been doing this X, Y, and Z for so long and haven't got any results. Should I just give up? Is it something that I should just realize that I can't have? You can't have it. Everything you can have it. But you need to shift your dominant thought about that vibration, meaning every time that thought comes up, you have to use the grit of your mind. You have to use the power of going general. You have to step away. You have to make sure that whenever you think about that thought, the dominant thought that you're thinking is the one of your desire. The dominant thought is your belief. It's that's a thought, I believe, is a thought you continue to think. So you want to make sure that the dominant thought is one that matches the vibration of your desire, meaning it feels good when you think. So here's the thing: when you feel negative emotion, right, and you imagine you don't really understand negative emotion, so you look at your bank account and you feel the absence of money. You're seeing something and you're coming to the conclusion, I see the bank balance, I have the absence of money, and so it doesn't feel good. How does that feel? It feels like fear. It feels like, imagine it feels like fear, or imagine it feels like fear, like uneasiness, like, oh, I don't really know what I'm gonna do. And it doesn't really go to fear, but imagine it's just in that place between fear and true uneasiness. You're there with us, right? So imagine you're an action-based human. Well, since I don't feel good about my finances right now, because I don't feel good about my finances, because every time I think about my finances, I don't feel good, why don't I go out there and see how other people are making money? Why don't I try finding a job that gives me more money? Try making a list of researching businesses that people are doing and try to copy and emulate exactly what they're doing, see what the market needs. I'm going to do everything that I can do, because when I think about money, I feel uncomfortable. So in my action journey, I'm going to go to, since I'm dissatisfied with where I stand, I'm going to go to the end goal. I'm going to make my way to the end goal, because when I'm in the end goal, I'm going to feel better about my finances when I finally have the money. But what we're saying is that if you can really step back with us and accept that your source energy and that your vortex is spinning with everything that you want and all the cooperative components and the ideal version of everything that you truly want. So it's there, and you have to find a way to realize it. You have to find a way for it to come into your consciousness, to meet you where you are, to rendezvous with it. Okay. So imagine, so you're there with us, right? So you're this action person. You're like, well, I'm going to go on this journey because I don't feel good. But we're saying is that, but here's the thing. The reason why you want to find the job, the reason why is because the root of it is that you don't feel good about your finances. Every time you look at your finances, you feel fear. But see, negative emotion is not something you need to solve. Negative emotion is guidance. This is a new piece. Follow along with us. The negative emotion is your guidance. Negative emotion is telling you that you're disallowing something that your inner being has already become. So it's either you go with your inner being or you stay here and it gets bigger and then you manifest something that you don't want, because what you're everything's a manifestation. So for example, if tomorrow you wake up and you still don't have any money in your bank account and there's no new money, it's because you manifest that. It's because you're not matching your inner being. It's because you're not, you know what? It's because you don't feel good about your finances. It's because you don't do anything about it. Since you don't shift that vibration, you can keep manifesting the same thing over and over again. True shifting of vibration needs to happen. You're doing that thing that causes resistance on your path, because naturally it's like your GPS, your vortex knows where all your destinations are. And so your vortex is really, in your inner being, is really ensuring that you're getting to everywhere you want. It's inputting all of the locations that you want to go to, but you're putting resistance on your path. It's like the GPS is telling you to turn around, but you go in the opposite direction. And we call it negative emotion. Think about negative emotion is that when you feel negative emotion, it's not that, it doesn't mean that a bad thing is going to happen right away. Negative emotion is a good thing. It's saying that it's the early sign of manifestation. It's saying that if you follow this path, you're not going to go to where you want to go. It's not something bad's going to happen. It's like, yeah, something bad's going to, something that's not going to feel good, something's going to match this negative emotion is going to come. So now we understand that. Now we understand that there's people don't feel good, and because they don't feel good, they take physical action to change how they feel. And when you think about it like that, it's not like so backwards, because if you don't feel good, why don't you just change how you feel? That's what we say. Why don't you just change how you feel? Why not just change how you feel? And then it's like, well, because why would I change how I feel if reality doesn't change? If reality hasn't changed, shouldn't I bank something to place and then observe it and feel good? We're like, but then you're an observer of reality. Stay with us. You're an observer of reality. You're not a creator. But when you're a creator, you understand that, hey, when I look at my bank balance, I don't feel good. But that feeling good is a good thing. It's a kindness. It's telling me that me and my inner being are not matching right now. So do you understand that this is the part? The feeling is what I'm really looking for, but in that moment, it's the relief from negative emotion that I'm really looking for. It's not the money. Someone would say, well, no, I'm looking for money. I want money. What we're saying is, yes, you are looking for money, but money is a natural byproduct of alignment. And alignment happens when you think about money and you feel good about money. That then you and your inner being are a match. Do you understand? Because your inner being holds everything that you want. So, and since your emotions are about the vibrational alignment between you and your source, between your source's point of attraction and your point of attraction, between what you're thinking in this moment and what your source is thinking in this moment about the same subject. Talk about true guidance. So in caring about how you feel and wanting the feeling of the money, all you have to do is realize that the reason why The reason why you feel angst about money is because you're holding thoughts about money that don't feel good in this example. But we're saying is that the negative emotion is not something you want to, you don't have to push against negative emotion. You want a guidance system that works. It's a good thing to feel negative emotion. It's a good thing to have desire that you can't even begin to figure out how you're going to make your way towards, because there's no way to make your way towards it. It's a vibrational game, an emotional game. So, so you feel bad. Imagine you want to write a book, and right now your book is not in good shape. You don't feel good about it. So you're like, okay, like I don't feel good about my book. I wish my book could just be different, so I could feel different, so I could feel better. But we're saying, but if you feel better, then your book has to come in response to how you feel. That's crazy. That's so crazy. Wow, that's really crazy, because you think that the absence of your book is the reason why you feel bad. So naturally, if you had your book, you would feel better. But we're saying no. The reason why you feel bad is because you're holding a perspective. You're not joining your source in that moment. Your source didn't join you in that moment when you thought about your book not being the way you want it to be, because your source is over there with the idea of where it was finished, completed, purchased book version of your book. So you really have to, it's a game of matching signals. You have help, you have guidance. You just want to feel your source energy. If you're a creative person, you understand this, because when you know when the flow is there, you know when the flow is not there. You usually create when the flow is there and you feel inspired. And for example, like when you're writing, or when you're drawing, or when you're running, or when you're cooking, or when you're doing anything that requires like your body, your mind, then you can feel that replenishment mode feeling. It's really called the replenishment mode. And so the feeling is truly so interesting, because what you really want is a feeling. Do you understand that? What you want is a feeling, because you have these negative emotions, but because you demonize negative emotions, because you don't really understand negative emotions, then you try to take physical actions to fix those negative emotions. But we're saying, why don't you just realize that the negative emotions are just guidance? So instead of trying to fix them, you give into them, and then guess what happens? You line up with your inner being. That's what you want to really feel, because when you really talk about why you want all your desires, the vibrational essence of everything is connection with source. So it's like, it's that simple. So now when you're thinking about your desire and you're feeling negative emotion, now what do you do then? What if you're like, okay, I get it, so I want to write a book, I want money, and I can't help but notice that the book isn't here. I can't help but notice that the money hasn't come, it hasn't ever come. So here I stand. We're saying negative emotion. You want a guidance that works. You want to know when your hand is on the stove and it's burning. You don't want to put Novocaine in your hand. You don't want to ignore your guidance system, because then you're living a mess of an experience. Then you make a really big mess. And the thing is, like, do you really want to leave your body to finally release resistance, or do you want to do it now? Isn't it so funny that resistance is literally just you having a different perspective than your source? Why not just give into your source? Why not reach for that feeling manifestation? Because if this moment, the next moment, you're not reaching for that. Do you understand this? You're not reaching for the money anymore, because you understand that, yes, I do want the money, but right now the absence of the money hurts a lot. So instead of waiting for money to fix the absence of how I feel, I'm going to realize that the negative emotion about my opinion of, or my perspective of the absence of dollars is what's really hurting me. So why don't I just change that opinion? Or why don't I just ready for this? Why don't I just reach for a thought that feels better than thinking, oh, my money's never gonna come? I go general. I go reach for my connection. And this is very interesting. This changes the game. It really changes the game, because not only are you going towards your desire, but now you know what to do. Now you know exactly what you're doing. You're fighting for your limitations. You're considering, the pros and cons. You're being realistic. You're being honest about. You're like, well, nothing has ever come before, so can I really believe that it will come now? We're fighting for your limitations. Negative emotions are the best thing in the world, and they're not something you need to fight. Resistance is not something you need to fight. It's not something that you have to push against. It's not even something that you have to get rid of. There's a tipping point. You don't even have to be fully. You don't have to feel good about your desire all the time. You just have to feel good about it more of the time, and that doubtful less of the time. The desires that you really want, and you're acknowledging that they're not here yet, you hold them off indefinitely. But when you realize that, okay, when I think of my desire, it doesn't feel good, it just means I have a habit of thought that doesn't feel good. So do I want to fight against the habit of thought? Do I want to fix the habit of thought? Or do I want to just reach to the back door and feel better? Because that's why I want the desire to feel better about this resistance. But now I understand resistance. Now I understand the resistance is something that is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. I don't want Novocaine in my hand when I'm touching the stove. I want to know the stove is burning my hand. So now that I understand my guidance system, I can live happily ever after. I can have everything that I want because everything that I want is now. It's all right now. The fastest way to get to where you want to go is to make pieces where you are, to find parts of where you are that you like.